Welcome back to the channel, guys. You are tuned in to another episode on Rob on TV. Now, in this particular episode, I'm coming to you guys with another installment of NFL Power Rankings. I love to do these because it gives me an opportunity to look at the top 5 teams week in and week out for the NFL. So, without further ado, the number 5 team, as you can see on the screen there in front of you, is none other than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in at number 5 only because if you look at their schedule, they are undefeated. But do I think they can beat the 4 teams above them? Not quite, not just yet. Even though some of these teams have L's on their resume, I still don't think in a playoff game or even in a series game, not a series game, but a regular season game, they may have a hard time. But if you look at their schedule, it's been a little bit cupcakey, been a little soft. Giants, Broncos, Houston. They didn't even play Tennessee, but that would have been their first true test, true road game actually too, as well, versus outside of the Giants. Philadelphia Eagles, they beat them only by 9 points, I think that is. In Cleveland, we saw them beat down on Cleveland. So when you look at the stats for the Pittsburgh Steelers, currently leading one of the best divisions this season up until this point, right now, one up on Baltimore. Cleveland, they just got their first division victory against Cleveland. So with that being said, points per game, they're ranked 12th in the league, scoring 26 per game. Through 6 games, they've only given up a total of 87 points. That is good. Puts them at 2nd in the league. So their defense is doing quite well. But we know Tomlinson is a coach of defense. I mean, Steelers, when you think of Steelers, you think of Super Bowls and you think of defense. Pass yards per game, they're ranked 18th. 259. That number should go up once Ben Roethlisberger decides, or once the offense really decides who's going to be number 1. It should have been Juju Smith-Schuster, but I don't know. Maybe it was AB turning him into a superstar. Hey, that's a different topic for another day. Rush yards per game, they're ranked 8th in the league at 139 per. Sacks for this year, 15. That's 3rd. Interceptions, they have a total of 4, and that puts them at 5th. So there's top 5 when it comes to turning the ball over as well as getting to the quarterback. So let's move on to the number 4 team in this week's NFL Power Ranking. If you guessed it, you probably already guessed it, and you probably got it right. It is the Green Bay Packers. Now, with that being said, let's look at the schedule for the Green Bay Packers. A lot of people are probably going to be mad at me for placing these guys right here. But, hey, I still think, even though they may trip up again this season or trip up this season, we still gotta respect these guys because they are led by an MVP candidate. Minnesota is trash. They don't even have a win. They are losing to the Atlanta Falcons as well. Detroit 42-21. New Orleans 37-30. Atlanta, like I said, 30-16. They had a bye. But with that being said, up until this point, their schedule has been, I'm not going to say it's been as easy as Pittsburgh, but seeing as though they're scoring, they got the number 1 scoring offense in the league. So for that reason alone, or not that reason alone, outside of, another reason being they have an MVP candidate, I still got to give these guys credit where credit is due. And being the top scoring offense in the league, that has to stand for something, right? So with that being said, the 3 teams above these guys, I don't think they're better than them. I don't think they're better than them. That's just, hey, my opinion. Top 5. Let's get it. The number 3 team on this week's NFL Power Ranking is none other than the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs is not, the Kansas City Chiefs, let me speak correctly, are not better than the top 2 teams. And I'll just go over why. Like, the upset against the Oakland Raiders, it didn't sit well with me, even though I tried to give them an excuse of, having a short week. They had to play. Let me just go over their schedule and tell you guys who they had to play. It was the New England Patriots that they had to play. Then they had to turn around a couple of days later and play Las Vegas, but they were still able to put up 32 points on the Raiders, but they gave up 40. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt, being that they had the quick turnaround. And now, with that being said, wins against Houston, the Chargers, Baltimore, as well as New England, those back-to-back victories, it's going to take them losing drastically for them to fall out of my top 5. So with that being said, let's talk about the stats for the Kansas City Chiefs and why they're number 3. So let me go and get to it. All right. So you should expect these guys to have some high numbers. Number 1 in their division right now, even though they lost to the Raiders. Currently points per game, they're ranked 8th in the league, scoring 29 a game. 110 points that they've given up through 6 weeks in the NFL. That puts them at 11 yards per game. They're ranked 7, not scoring, but putting up 412 yards total. Pass yards, only 10th in the league with Patrick Mahomes and all those weapons. Le'Veon Bell will open up that offense a lot more. 285 passing yards per game. 129 rushing yards per game. That puts them at 9th. Sacks, 12 total through 6 weeks. That puts them 5th. 5 interceptions through 6 weeks. That puts them at 4th. So you already know the top 2 teams. You probably already know the top 2 teams. The Packers, they fell a little bit, but hey, I think they were number 3 last week. But I got to give it to the Baltimore Ravens. Struggled a little bit trying to put the Eagles away, but the Baltimore Ravens right now, look at their schedule. Let's look at their schedule since we're talking about everybody's schedule. They beat Cleveland. Cleveland is a playoff team. Cleveland is playing well. Cleveland, up until this Sunday's loss against the Steelers, that was their only loss. So you got to give them some respect. They beat Houston, lost to Kansas City, beat Washington, beat Cincinnati. So with that being said, the Ravens, like I say, in one of the toughest divisions, they're only point game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. Currently 30 points per game. That ranks 7th in the league. 76 total points that they've given up this week. Not this week, but through 6 weeks in the NFL. That puts them at number 1. So they have the number 1 defense in the league. 359 total yards per game. That puts them at 23rd. Not good. Dead last in the NFL, almost dead last in the NFL, or dead last, however you want to look at it. 198 total passing yards per game. 31st in the league. That's not good. But look at this. Rushing yards. They're 3rd in the league, rushing 160, getting 160 total rushing yards per game. 9 total sacks through 6 weeks. That puts them at 17. 2 interceptions only with that defense. Those crazy safeties and those dominant cornerbacks, they only got 2 interceptions. That puts them at 18. So as you guys already expected, this team had a bye week. So with that being said, I'm still going to put them at number 1. They're locked there since they got a bye week. When you look at the schedule for the Seattle Seahawks, they beat Atlanta, they beat New England, they beat Dallas. All 3 of those teams had high hopes and high expectations coming into the season. No preseason, kind of messed up everything, but hey, no excuses. Got to get the job done. A win at Miami, win versus Minnesota as well. They come back out of their bye, taking on another back-to-back divisional opponents. So can't wait till week 8 and week 9 to hopefully see these guys continue their stellar play in the NFL. So let's go back to the stats for these guys. Like I say, they're number 1 in the league when it comes to scoring, 35 per game. So if they would let me get to it, God, no. All right, points against through 6 weeks, they've given up a total of 135 points. That puts them at 20th in the league. Yards per game, 434. These guys score a lot, not score a lot, but they score a lot as well because they're 2nd in the league. They put up a lot of yards every game. 3rd. Pass yards per game, 3rd in the league, 321. Rush yards per game, 17th in the league, 113. Sacks, 24th in the league, only getting to the quarterback 6 times. That's 1 sack a week. That's not good. Not 2 interceptions, but 2nd in interceptions in the league for their defense. That puts them at 6. So with that being said, I thank you guys for once again clicking on this video, checking out someone else's power rankings outside of the typical, sports networks. We over here on Rob on TV gets these things done week in and week out. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe as well as like the video. It will help circulate this video and place it where it needs to be so other people can watch my top 5.